Saturday morning started like every other peaceful weekend in my lakeside neighborhood. I was washing my truck while the garage door stayed open to let the fresh air inside. The weather was perfect, and nothing suggested the day would become unforgettable. Then an expensive white SUV stopped in front of my driveway. Out stepped Susan Miller, the HOA president, carrying a thick clipboard under her arm. She didn't wave or smile before walking straight onto my driveway. Without introducing herself, she began examining my garage door from every angle. It felt less like a conversation and more like an inspection. Susan informed me that my garage door was the wrong shade of brown according to updated HOA standards. I politely explained that it matched the approved color listed in my original construction documents. She barely looked at the paperwork before dismissing my explanation. Apparently, her opinion mattered more than the official records. Before leaving, she handed me a violation notice demanding I repaint the garage door within 10 days. Failure to comply, she warned, would result in daily HOA fines. I thanked her for the paperwork and wished her a pleasant afternoon. My calm response clearly wasn't what she expected. That evening, I carefully reread every HOA guideline I had ever received. Not a single page mentioned the specific shade Susan claimed was required. The more I searched, the clearer it became that something didn't add up. Instead of arguing, I decided to follow the rules exactly as written. The next morning, I hired a licensed contractor to remove the garage door completely. If the HOA wanted to complain about its color, there wouldn't be a garage door left to criticize. Several neighbors stopped to watch the unexpected project. Even the contractor couldn't stop smiling. By lunchtime, the garage stood completely open for everyone to see. Instead of an empty space, an unusual military green vehicle sat quietly inside. Most neighbors couldn't immediately tell what they were looking at. Word spread through the community faster than I expected within the hour. Nearly half the neighborhood had gathered outside my house to see the unusual display. Children stared in amazement, while adults quietly read the HOA notice I showed them. Susan kept insisting I had violated community standards. Then a black SUV pulled into my driveway, carrying someone she never expected to meet. The driver stepped out, introduced himself as a director of a local military history museum, and smiled the moment he saw the vehicle. He explained that the restored World War II tank was a fully deactivated museum exhibit on temporary display. Every permit, transportation document, and insurance certificate was completely up to date. Susan's confidence began slipping away as the paperwork kept piling up. The museum director explained that the tank had no operational weapons and couldn't legally function as military equipment. It was simply a historic collector's exhibit being stored for an upcoming veterans event. Several neighbors nodded after hearing the explanation. The dramatic story Susan had imagined quickly fell apart. Susan quickly changed her argument and claimed the open garage itself violated HOA rules. I quietly handed her a printed copy of the community bylaws. The section she pointed out only required homeowners to maintain their property safely. It never required garage doors to remain installed. One board member carefully reviewed the same rule and quietly admitted that Daniel was correct. A few others lowered their clipboards without saying a word. The discussion shifted from accusing me to questioning the original violation notice. For the first time, Susan found herself standing alone. The neighbors began laughing, not at Susan, but at the strange chain of events. Many admitted they had never actually questioned HOA decisions before. Now, they were reading the rules for themselves. The atmosphere changed from tension to curiosity. A local reporter covering community events happened to stop after hearing about the unusual gathering. She interviewed the museum director about preserving military history for future generations. The conversation quickly became about education instead of neighborhood drama. Susan quietly stepped farther away from the cameras. The museum director thanked me for helping promote the upcoming Veterans History exhibition. He invited everyone in the neighborhood to attend the community event the following weekend. Several families immediately expressed interest. What started as an HOA dispute unexpectedly brought the neighborhood together. After most of the crowd had gone home, Susan quietly approached me one last time. She asked whether I planned to reinstall the garage door. I smiled and told her I already had a contractor scheduled for the following week. My point had been made without breaking a single rule. A week later, the new garage door was installed and the exact approved finish listed in the original documents. Even Susan admitted it looked excellent. The unnecessary violation notice was quietly withdrawn. Peace finally returned to the neighborhood. As I closed the new garage door, I couldn't help but smile at everything that had happened. Sometimes the best way to answer unreasonable demands is with patience, preparation, and a little creativity. The neighborhood learned an important lesson about reading the rules before enforcing them. And every time someone mentioned the tank garage, it brought a smile instead of another argument.